So this is advanced financial management, new syllabus, topic number 1, net present value. Net present value. So, and of course, I would want us to remind ourselves of a very simple example here. Assuming somebody, ladies and gentlemen, makes this promise to you. He tells you that if you invest in some projects, so we have 1, 2, 3, we have here our cash flows. We have there our cash flows, that year 1, you're going to get 10, year 2, you'll be getting 20, year 3, you'll be getting 25, and then the initial outlay is 12 shillings, and then the cost of capital is 10%. So we are required to determine net present value. Determine net present value. You are required to determine the net present value. Haya, hebu jaribu tuone kama utawezana na hiyo. Determine net present value. Determine net present value. Determine net present value. Great. So the first thing that I expected you guys to do for me, you'll allow me to change my battery just for a minute. 1 minute, I change my battery. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that I would expect you to do is to come and discount. Whenever you're told to give us net present value, the first thing you do is to discount the cash flows. So please go ahead and discount cash flows. When you want to discount cash flows, you must first of all understand the nature of the cash flows that you have. So like now, these are cash flows that are doing what? You're fluctuating. These are the irregular cash flows. And when we began, I remember Lucy told me that, Mwalimu, if your cash, not Lucy, but Silas, if your cash flows are fluctuating like that, use PVF to discount them. And the PVF goes like this. Use PVF to discount them. PVF goes like this. We know that PVF is 1 plus R raised to negative N. Where R is our cost of who? Where R is our cost of capital. Is our cost of capital. Then what I need to do is to come and say here, this one here will be 1 plus our cost of capital is this return. The return here, 10%. 10% is the same as 0.1. So this one here raised to minus 1. Because of the year is 1 here. The time period is 1 there. Then we have here 1 plus 0.1 raised to minus 2. Then we have 1 plus 0.1 raised to minus 3. Could you kindly give me these PVs? PVF stands for what here? Present value, interest factor. Present value, interest factor. PVF stands for present value, interest factor. Present value, interest factor. PV stands for present value interest factor. Present value interest factor. And to get it, whenever cash flows are fluctuating, we talk of 1 plus R raised to negative what here, somebody? Raised to negative N, raised to negative N. So 4 decimal places. The first one will be 1.1 raised to minus 1. Is there somebody who is able to give me this figure? 0.9091. We check again, Silas. 1.1 raised to minus 1. Silas, check again. 0.9091. So the first one is 0.9091.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the second one? How about the second one?
0.82.
64. 0.8264. 0.8264. The third one. $75.13. 0.7513. So these are discounting factors. The next thing that we need to do after you get the discounting factors is to come and create the last column of present value. You create the last column of present value. Create the last column of present value. So present value, what are we doing? We are taking the cash flows, discounting them. You take the cash flows multiplied by the discounting factors. So 10 times this one here will give me 9.091. 9.091. Thank you very much, Lucy. The next one is 16.528. 16.528. Thank you very much. And then the last one will be 25 times this, which is 18.783. So 18.783. So please come and add. Give me the total present value. Give me the total present value. Give me the total present value. So total present value, ukiongeza zote, zitakuja zikuwe 44 point what here, somebody? 44.402. 44.402. 44.402. Out of which now, we want to make it net. So it will be net of what? Because they want us to calculate net present value, we must come and say here, less the initial outlay. Less IO. IO stands for what here, somebody? Initial outlay. IO stands for initial outlay. Less initial outlay. Initial outlay is the amount you incur at the beginning, is your investment. The investment is given here. The initial outlay, the cost of the project is 12. The cost of the project is 12. So please go ahead and deduct this. So 44 minus 12, you'll be able to give me what we call the net present value. You'll be able to give me the net present value. So net present value will be 44 minus this, which gives me what figure at the end of the day? So please feel free to talk. You can unmute yourself and talk, or you write
32.402.
32.402. Now, ladies and gentlemen, anytime you have a positive net present value, this automatically is a valuable project, is a project that will be able to create value for the owners of the company. So then this project is so good. So you simply say that because the project has a positive net present value, then automatically the project is viable. The project is viable. The project is viable. The project is viable. Are we together up to there? 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 Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, another thing, as I progress, I would want to do some past paper question today. Do you have some link to some past papers? Do you have some link to some past papers? There's a link that circulates around here from CASNEB, which you should be able to be having whenever you want a past paper. You click on a link for a particular year and you're able to get that past paper. Better still, once you get that link, simply download all of them and then you print. You print. So for today, do we have that link or I make arrangements? Because I would want to do a past paper question today. Every class we must do at least one or two for us to be able to get exposure.
But we do not have them.
You don't have the link. There is nobody who has that link. Nobody here has that link. Nobody here has that link. I'm so sure there must be somebody who has that link somewhere. Somebody who was in session 4 last semester must be having the link to CASNEP past papers. Ni kama hakuna, eh? No problem. Yes? I'll share the link. Ni kama hakuna. I'll share the link. No problem. But for now, as I look for that link, ladies and gentlemen, here we have an example. Here we have an example. We have an example about Lena Limited. Lena Limited. Invests Kenya shillings 20 million. Invest Kenya shillings 20 million in a project that yields a cash flow of shillings 3 million per annum, shillings 3 million per annum. The project's useful life is 12 years, and the COC, the cost of capital is 10%. So you are required to compute the NPV. Compute the NPV of the above project. The NPV of the above project. You are required to give us the net present value of the above project. Compute the NPV of the above project. Compute the NPV of the above project. So we have Lena Limited, quite a serious company, belonging to one of us in this room, which has seen an opportunity and invested Kenya shillings 20 million in a particular project that yields a cash flow of shillings 3 million per annum. The project's useful life is 12 years. COC is cost of capital. The cost of capital is 10%. So we are required to compute NPV of the above project. So I would want to see whether there is anybody who will be able to give me that net present value. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sure that most of us, 13.18, let's see, great. I'm so sure most of us must have realized something to do with uniformity. That this cash flow will be 3 million, which will be received every year. 3 million year 1, 3 million year 2, all the way to year 12, 3 million 3. So it's a uniform cash flow. And if it is a uniform cash flow, then for sure, for discounting purposes, I'll come and use PVFA. And PVFA, if I'm able to remember very well what Lucy gave me, Lucy gave me this formula, that PVFA is supposed to be equal to what? PVFA is supposed to be equal to 1 minus the smaller, shorter formula, which is 1 plus R raised to negative n, and then everything to be divided by I. I'm using PVFA simply because, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the fact that this is a regular. It is a uniform cash flow. So then if that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, then my PVFA here will be 1 minus, into bracket, this will be 1.1. Nimetoa 1.1 wapi? It's because of 1 plus the rate of return. The rate of return is 10%. So 1.1. Raised to negative n is the time period, the number of years. So the number of years that we have, they are 12. And then everything to be divided by R, which is 0.1. So now I need to move slowly here, say 1 minus 1.1 raised to negative 12. 1 minus 1.1 raised to negative 12 equals whatever I get, I divide by 0.1. Whatever I get, I divide by 0.1, and then I'll be able to shout the figure and say, hooray. So,
excuse me.
Rena, yes.
Yes. Okay, after that after all that operation, we are getting 20,441,075.
Okay, thank you very much. But I would really appreciate if you guys can just give me the PVFA in isolation alone. PVFA in isolation.
Okay, PVFA in isolation is 6.8137.
37, right? Thank you very much. Now, once you have given me that figure, is it 6.8? I can see somebody giving me a different figure, or perhaps it's because of just rounding off.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's because of rounding off. 6.8.
4 significant figures.
37, that's okay. 37, 4 decimal places. So once I have now my PVFA like that, then I should be able to get net present value. And how do we get net present value? I'll take the future cash flow, which is 3 million times PVFA, times PVFA minus the initial outlay, like that. So in this case, it's 3 million cash flow times the PVFA that you guys have just given me, which is 6.8137 minus the initial outlay of 20 million. Initial outlay of 20 million. Then at the end of the day, we'll end up getting what figure? At the end of the day, we shall end up getting what figure?
We are going to get 441,075.
441.
Yes, 441,075.
Okay.
0.47.
Okay. So what the brother has done, he has millions there and millions there, right? So it's 3 million times this minus 20 million. If you decided to do away with the millions, then you should be getting 0 point something. So 441, 100. 441, 100. 441, 100. 441, 100. And you had my brother Silas, he had a figure that was quite close to this. The same with the Elias. Whatever differences we have there are quite small, and they are allowed by your examiner. But now, ladies and gentlemen, most of us will always tend to lose one mark. There is one mark that most of us will always lose. The mark of making a comment. So you need to make a comment there. A comment on what basis? On the basis of,
The positivity of the, yeah.
So is it positive? Yes. So
It's
the project
positive
is
and
viable. In project bracket, the project is viable.
Yeah.
You get 1 mark. And that 1 mark is so big in AFM. It can make you see places that you've never seen before. Great, great, great. So you got the last example before I look at my past paper. By the way, was there a student who was able to get this figure much earlier, even before we did it?
Get it.
You got it, eh? Oh, great.
I had posted it earlier.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And you posted it. Ah, great. This subject is the most interesting subject in section 5. So many people will keep on cheating you that this paper is hard. No, it is the most enjoyable paper. The only thing it doesn't want is you to miss a class and you do nothing about it. Because you see, AFM, unlike like AMA and even leadership, AFM, right? AFM topic 1 builds onto topic 2. So basically it's a building blocks subject. It's a building block subject. If you miss out on a few basics here and there, you'll for sure get major problems. But if you keep on, in this case here, attending all classes, and of course, you're not attending classes here to just get figures from us. You're attending classes in a way that you appreciate that this is a participatory subject, that everybody has to participate, whether you get them right or wrong. It doesn't matter. So long as you're talking, so long as you're engaging us, asking questions, giving us answers, then you will really, really love this subject. It is the best subject in section 5 and actually in the entire CPA, Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. What if in this case here you are given this kind of a question where you are told, Robert has invested Kenya shillings 10 million in old mutual fund, in an old mutual fund that will give him Kenya shillings 2 million per annum, indefinitely. So you are required here to determine the net present value of his investment, if the cost of capital is 8%. If the cost of capital is 8%. So Robert has done a great thing. He got some windfall income of Kenya shillings 10 million. Akasema mimi sitaki kwenda kuinvest kwa hizo manyumba ambazo haujui. Utaenda kuweka kwa shamba fulani, governor anasema hii shamba umejenga sio yako. Anakuja na kale ka tractor kanafanya hivi. Anangoa. Right? Mwingine anakuja straight away, umeshajenga, amempatia pesa contractor, anajenga nyumba imelala namna hii. Disaster. So Robert amefanya namna gani? Yeye ameamua apeleke hizi pesa kwa old mutual fund. Na akaambiwa sasa kila mwaka atakuwa anapatiwa 2 million per annum indefinitely. Yani there is no end in sight. So determine the NPV of his investment if the cost of capital is 8%. So could you kindly help me do this? Kindly help me do this. Okweba Oscar. Amepata haraka sana hiyo Okweba. Aha. na ngoja mwingine aseme maneno, 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 na ngoja mwingine aseme maneno. $15 million. Thank you very much. What those students have realized, number one, is that this for sure is an annuity. And if it's an annuity without an end in sight, then I'll be calculating what we call the present value when n is infinity, which will be 2 million divided by, remember the formula, it's amount divided by R. So amount here is 2 million divided by R of 0.08. So 2 million divided by 0.08 will end up giving us what figure? 2 million divided by 0.08 will end up giving us what figure, somebody? 25 million. So when you get this 25 million, now you'll come and less the initial outlay. You less the initial outlay. Ukiangalia vizuri, initial outlay, the investment here was 10 million. The investment here was 10, so you subtract like that. You'll be able to get 15 million, which will be able to be called straight away the net present value. So this net present value is what here is positive. The net present value is positive. The net present value is positive. And the only thing that my students here forgot to advise is that the project is viable. The project is viable. The project is viable. So NPV equals what here? 15 million, and the project is viable. And the project is viable. Any question up to there? Any question up to there? Any question up to there? Are we okay? So far, so good. Thank you very much. So November 2015. Those I saw some two guys who gave us those past papers. Yeah, please open November 2015. So have we been able to get November 2015 sitting? Have we been able to get the November 2015 sitting? Somebody. Have we been able to get the November 2015 sitting? The link has been shared in your WhatsApp group. Yes. So the link has been shared in your WhatsApp group. It's question number 1B. Question number 1B. Question number 1B. Question number 1B. November 2015, question number 1B. Have we gotten the question, all of us? I can see Elias and Lucy confirming that yes, them, they already have their paper.
Yeah, I also have.
Great, great, great. So let's go through these questions slowly. We are told a company is considering whether to purchase equipment to increase its production and sales volumes. The equipment is going to cost 500 million and has a useful life of 3 years, after which it can be sold as scrap for 80,000. For each of the 3 years of usage, the equipment is expected to increase. Both sales will go up and operating costs will also go up by 600 million and 390 million respectively. The company's COC is 10%. Now they want us to give them the percentage changes, what we call sensitivity analysis, which is a key component of our new syllabus. Percentage changes, we call that one sensitivity analysis. But you see, even before I introduce sensitivity analysis, whenever somebody wants you to get percentage changes, the very first thing you do is to compute net present value. So whenever AFM examiner tells you to compute percentage changes, the first thing you need to do is to give us the original net present value. I would want to pause for a minute and see whether there is any student who will be able to give us this net present value. Just a minute. Let's get to see whether there is any student who will be able to give us this net present value. Doesn't matter whether you get it correct or wrong, so long as you scribble something. Okay, so the 2 minutes are over. Let me take it up. Let me take it up. Let me take it up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very simple question, which I even wonder why a serious examiner would put it in section 5. No, this is not worthy my CPA section 5 students. My CPA section 5 students are very tough students. They always want hard questions, not very simple questions. Not simple questions. Now, my great students, such a question number 1, you'll come and give us the cash flows. So the cash flow, of course, in this case here, because we do not have tax, we'll be seeing later on, but we have taxes, How do we get profits? How do we do our adjustments? So yeah, because we don't have tax, ladies and gentlemen, these are very simple questions. Your cash flow basically will be the same as your profit. Because you don't have taxes, so depreciation becomes irrelevant. All those are things we'll be seeing later on. For now, know that in a question that does not have tax, cash flow equals what here? Your profit. And the profit is revenue minus cost. So the incremental revenue here is 600,000 minus the incremental cost of 390,000. So 600 minus 390 gives us what figure? 600 minus 390 gives us what figure? 600 minus 390, because every year the revenue will be going up by 600. But as the revenue goes up, the cost of sales is also going up. So then the incremental profit will be 210.
210.
Thank you very much. And remember, this is per what year? Per annum. Because they told us that this revenue going up is an annual revenue and the cost is an annual cost. Great. So I would want to emphasize, they told us that for each of the 3 years, thank you very much, Okweba, for each of the 3 years, the equipment is expected to increase both sales revenue by 600 and the cost by what year? 390. So for each, so it means that the 210 you have here is per annum. And therefore, my net present value will be the 210 times PV. This one here has to be multiplied with the PV for discounting purposes. So the cost of capital, they have told us, is 10%. How many years are we going to enjoy this 210? How many years are we going to enjoy to the 210?
3 years.
3 years. So PV for 10%, 3 years. Apart from this operational cash flow, are you able to see any other cash flow that we shall be enjoying? Are you able to see any other cash flow that we shall be enjoying, you good sense of mind?
The sale of the equipment at the end of the 3 years.
That this equipment will be sold. There is a scrap value given there. A scrap value over how much? A scrap value over how much? 80. And this scrap value is not a repetitive figure. It is a lump sum. So you can't tell me to use PV to discount it. So this 80 will only be discounted using PV. Still at 10%, it will be coming to us at the end of the 3rd year. It will be coming to us at the end of the 3rd year. Remember, when the project comes to completion, when the project comes to an end, we are going to sell the scrap for 80. So it's a cash inflow to us. It's a cash inflow for us. So it will be 80 times PV. Remember, it's not 80 in year 1, 80 in year 2, 80 in year 3. So you can't multiply this with PV. It's just PV. 10%, 3 years. Minus the initial cost. Initial cost of how much? Initial cost of how much?
500 million.
500 million. 500 like that. Thank you very much. Now, let me ask you a question, my great students. Why are we not discounting this initial cost? Why don't we discount the initial cost? Somebody. Normally, why don't we discount the initial cost? Remember that initial cost is normally incurred when today is not a future value, it's a today's value. So the way you are seeing this 500 is already, yes, year zero. Year zero. It's already a discounted figure. It's a present value. It's a present value. Now, what I would want you to do for me tonight is quite a simple thing. I would want you guys to calculate for me the PV for 10%, 3 years, give me the figure. And then you calculate for me the PV 10%, 3 years, give me the figure.
Okay, PV is 2.4869.
Sorry, 1 minute. What the brother is telling me is that Mwalimu, I know that to get PV for, there is this formula which says 1 minus 1 plus R raised to negative N, all over what here, somebody, all over R. And as you shall be able to see, I will never try to rely on the tables that the examiner gives us. Myself, I've always made sure that I master the formula, because I know in section 5, most probably, they'll give you a discounting rate, which is not well within the table, So PV for here will be 1 minus 1 plus R raised to negative N over R. So then this one here will be equal to who? It will be 1 minus 1.1, because they gave us the cost of capital. There is a student who has not muted. I don't know who this student is, because it's Omondi Joshua. Please learn to mute yourself always. Omondi, always. Because you see, if you're not muted, it means that I should be muting you from my side. And if I mute you from my side, I'll be muting everybody, which will not be able to be optimal for us, because I normally like my classes to be discursive, to be disruptive. I like, in this case, even I'm trying to teach so fast, as somebody says, hey, you sir, slow down. Another one comes even with a joke. Yeah. So remember, you only unmute when you want to speak. Unmute only when you want to speak. That is very important. It's a rule. It's a rule. So 1 minus the cost of capital is 10%. So 1.1 raised to negative N. So N is what here? Somebody is 3. All over R, which is 0.1. So please go slowly. I can see from Rena. This is a special class. I have Rena and I have Lena. Wow. So 2.4, 866. So I hope everybody is able to get these figures, this figure. If you're able to get the figure, you simply write Y for yes. Able to get this figure?
Is it 2.4868?
Let's confirm again. 1 minus 1.1 raised to minus 3 equals first.
Okay, sir. Mine is 2.4869.
9.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Now that Joshua have given us an answer very well, I can see you have forgotten to mute yourself. Always you unmute. Mute back. Very, very important, so that I can have a very clear video. For those of you who have missed this class, they also want to get a very clear video. Great. So thank you very much for that correction. Now that I've been able to get that, the next one now will be the PVF. So PVF, what do we have here for PVF? So PVF is present value interest factor. I know the formula is 1 plus R raised to negative N. So then these will be 1.1 because I know the R raised to negative 3. So then these at the end of the day will be equal to what? Somebody please help me out here. These at the end of the day will be
0.7513.
7513. Now after that, let's plug in the figures. We plug in the figures and I give them the net present value. The net present value will be 210 times PV4. PV5, you gave me a figure of 2.4869 plus 80 times PV, which is 0.7513, right? Minus 500, which will end up giving us what as our net present value. It's a 2.353. If you want, you can say in millions. I prefer dropping the millions, but even if you put them there, there is no problem. Great. Great. Now, from there, ladies and gentlemen, there is one thing you keep on forgetting every day, and it's going to cost you 1 mark. Positive. Into bracket, therefore, the project is viable. Never forget that. The project is viable. The project is viable. The project is viable. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to sit back and reflect a little bit. I'm so sure there must be somebody who is attending online class for the very first time, that today is their first time to attend an online class, right? How would you compare this one with a physical class, if you are to be very honest? Maybe with you here for about an hour. How would you compare the online and the physical class?
Okay, allow me to react, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Silas, and I'm getting these online classes from Homa Bay.
Homa Bay, ah.
Yeah, I got it from a friend who managed to finish CPA through this class.
Oh, he was in our online classes.
Yeah, he was called Walter.
Oh, yes.
He comes from Oyugis.
Okay.
Now, he really recommended for me the CRM class. And it took me quite a time to buy the idea. But the moment I bought it and I subscribed, I don't think I'm going to lose any soon.
To any physical school any soon.
I don't think I'm going to lose.
Or to lose
for having bought his decision to join this class.
Yes.
And actually, I'm going to be your ambassador.
Good, good, good. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no way we can ever compare the two. And I'll tell you why, and this is what has really helped us to be ahead of many, many colleges at the moment. Like last semester, Advanced Financial Management, I had 160 students, 160 students. Now, what makes us to really excel, and we're going to start this thing from today, it is this concept of us sharing videos with you. Like we'll tell you in our next class, I'll be looking at scenario analysis. And then I share the videos with you in good time of scenario analysis. So what good students will do, they'll watch those like 1 or 2 videos scenario, and then they realize that they're able to do even past paper questions by themselves. So when I come and introduce the subject here, scenario analysis, they'll tell me, no, that one you're comfortable with it. Right? They tell me to go to something different. Right? So we keep on doing like that, and we were able to finish the syllabus in a record of how many months? 2 months. 2 months. Right? But it also calls for a lot of teamwork. In WhatsApp group, it calls for a lot of teamwork. But once I've shared a video like for scenario analysis, I'll be sharing today, once, ladies and gentlemen, you are able to get that video and you watch, motivate others by telling others that you guys are sleeping. I woke up at 5 a.m. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was able to watch that video and I understood everything. Right? Another one will come and tell us, you know, I watched the video very late yesterday, but I got nothing out of it. So Mwalimu, when you come to class, the first thing you do is to review this thing. So the team has to be very engaging, very engaging. Like I saw last semester, especially for session 5 students are normally very serious. They'll keep even some time aside. They'll tell, you know, it's a discussion between themselves on WhatsApp. At times I'm so busy, I'm not able to follow all the WhatsApp messages because I'm in so many groups. So they'll come and say that every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., we shall be revising advanced financial management. And then the class rep will even say, these are the videos we are going to watch. And these are the questions that we shall be doing. Questions in this case that I've never even done myself. They're able to identify them. Shall do question 1, question 2. So then we'll get them being very excited. When I open WhatsApp messages like this, I'll get like 100 maybe messages there. Others crying that I never got that answer. Others saying, I got this. Others celebrating like that. As others, in this case, of course, are crying, but of course, in the process, everybody gets, in this case, to do what here? To understand. So this is the thing that I recommend to you. That particular friendship within the WhatsApp group must always keep on, in this case here, going high and high. When we register some students there, the new students, always welcome them. Give them these videos, right? The ones we had watched earlier on, like that. If we do that way, we shall be able to see places that you have never seen before. Places that you've never seen before. Section 5, or rather, these 3 papers that you have chosen this time around, we need, in this case, to pass those papers once. Caution. Are you aware that if you sit for these 3 papers, or whatever number of papers you're sitting for this time around, and then you fail in all of them, what are the repercussions come next semester? If you fail in all papers, you are not able to pass even in one, what will be the repercussions come next semester? Let me tell you, because perhaps you haven't gotten time to.
Be doing the new syllabus.
Yes. Okay, even this one is still new syllabus, but you see now you'll be doing new syllabus plus some extras. Right now you're doing new syllabus alone without the extras. That means that if you pass even in one paper this time around, then that automatically you have put a tick, right? That you'll only do a maximum of 6 papers in this level. So if you've passed one, you'll be remaining with how many? 5. And you'll not be subjected to what here somebody, the practical paper is going to be very problematic to people. You'll not be subjected to the practical paper. You'll not be required by anybody to attend any internship, to be a member of ISPAC. And then, of course, you'll not be taken through specialization. And remember, there are also some seminars between ISPAC and CASNEP, which you also have to attend, 2 of them on ethics, which are going to be very costly, right? So if you want, ladies and gentlemen, from the word go, you have to understand this particular semester is very critical for you. You must ensure that actually, if I were you, I would not even be looking at passing in only one paper. How can you be taught by this mwalimu? And then you come next semester, after you get that message from 2558, you tell me that you only passed in one paper, then you have a problem. You have a problem. We have to resolve from today that you're going to pass in all the papers. We must make that resolution. And the only way is through the videos. Na kutumia video na watch. Mimi nikija hapa utakuwa unasema mwalimu, kama ni sensitivity analysis tuliangalia, tukafanya maswali, but you are not able to understand why you did this thing like that. Mwalimu guzie hapo peke yake. Lakini mkisema ati mwalimu anafunza from the beginning, at syllabus yote, hata kila kitu lazima hata okay, nitaenda hivyo, lakini hataimaliza. Itakuwa ni shida. Mkitaka tumaliza na mwezi moja, sema mwezi 2 yani. The trick is, mwalimu send us videos in advance, and we shall be able to watch them faithfully, regardless of how busy we are in our workplaces. That concept of saying that you are very busy at your workplace, I normally take it as an excuse. If you want to create some time for something good, I'm so sure you'll be able to do that. Otherwise, from the way we have started, you guys have already loved you, all of you. You are so great. You're able to talk. You're able to write answers. You're engaging. So I'm so sure that we are destined for passes. Come December, it is either we pass or pass. There is nothing like an option of failure. So it's pass or pass, but of course there is some digging to be done. Thank you very much. Now please write a title there, sensitivity analysis. Write a title there, sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis. Very important for your section 5. Sensitivity analysis is what we shall be abbreviating as SA. Sensitivity analysis, sensitivity analysis, sensitivity analysis, sensitivity analysis, sensitivity analysis. So sensitivity analysis, what we shall be abbreviating as SA, it gives the percentage change, the percentage change of a given variable, that will make a project to become undesirable. That means loss making. It gives a percentage change of a given variable that will make a project to become what here? Undesirable. So the percentage change is what we are calling what here? Sensitive. How sensitive is the project to changes in that variable? How sensitive is the project to changes in that variable? So ladies and gentlemen, sensitivity analysis is a walk in the park. Hii hata ina maneno. Kama hapa anatuambia compute the percentage change required in each of the following factors for the project to be rejected. For the project to be what here? Somebody to be rejected. For the project to be rejected. And the first one is initial cost of the equipment. So remember here, sensitivity analysis, we normally target one variable at a time. So in this case here, sensitivity analysis works with one variable at a time. One variable at what here? At a time. Works with one variable at a time. So like now, number one here, they want us to compute the sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. Sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. Please write like that. Sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. 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 Can I rub this? Sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. Thank you very much. So sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. Sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. Sensitivity analysis of the initial outlay. This is very easy. The percentage change will be given by taking the net present value all over the present value of the initial outlay times 100. Times 100. Percentage change will be net present value all over the present value of the initial outlay, the one whose sensitivity analysis they want us to calculate. We discount it. So then in this case here, remember you guys gave me a value for net present value. You gave me a value here. You gave me the net present value. It was 82 point something. 82 point something. It was 82 point something. It was 82 point something. It was 82 point something. Mind mwalimu. 82.3545. Thank you very much. How about the present value of the initial outlay? How about the present value of the initial outlay? Do you remember the initial outlay? 500. And remember, the initial outlay is already present valued. You can't discount it again. Times 100, times 100, times 100. You can't discount it again. So you take this divided by this times 100. So how I wish all of us were speaking the same mother tongue. Cyrus tells me the 16.47. How I wish all of us were speaking the same mother tongue. That, of course, would have been an ugly situation. But at least what I want to imply is that, like now I've said that initial outlay is already present valued. You need to find a way of writing that in your own mother tongue. In your own mother tongue, somewhere, in a way that you'll be able to understand that initial outlay shall not be discounted because it's already in present value terms. It's already in present value terms. So 16.47 like that. Thank you very much. So that is correct. So what does this mean? It means that the initial outlay can rise all the way up to 16.47. If the change will be more than this 16.47, then the project will become undesirable. I don't want to go into interpretations right now. Let us first of all appreciate how to compute these things. So number 2, they want us to give them SA of scrap value of the equipment. Scrap value of the equipment. Scrap value of the equipment. So this sensitivity analysis of the scrap value of the equipment will be NPV, net present value, over present value of scrap times 100. NPV over present value of scrap times 100 times 100. So could you kindly talk to me? I know that net present value that we got up there, I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. The net present value that we got up there is no brainer. I'll be using it throughout. So in this case here, the sensitivity analysis of scrap will be the NPV, which was 82.4. I don't know why I deleted mine here. But I can remember somebody had written it here. 82.353 divided by scrap value of 80 times 100. If I do it this way, will I be correct? If I leave it there, will I be correct?
I think no.
No. Why?
Because we wanted the PV of the scrap value, not just the scrap value.
Not just the scrap value. So meaning that this 80 has to be present value. It has to be multiplied by PVF. And we know PVF at 10%, 3 years. Unfortunately, these are things that are already calculated up there. Please don't forget that when you're discounting this 80, the scrap value is only coming to you just once.
It is going to be 60.104.
After you discount, right? So it is 82.353 over 80 times 0.7513, right?
Yeah.
Which the brother is telling us is going to be a 63. This
60.104.
104 times 100. Times 100, which will end up giving me what figure?
137.
137. 137%. Is there anybody who is able to confirm this figure of 137%?
0.02.
0.02.
Yeah.
0.02. Yeah, it's good to be precise. 0.02. Thank you very much. Yes. Elias has been able to confirm. Yes, thank you very much. Now, the last one for you. The last one for you is this one here where they want us to carry out sensitivity analysis of sales revenue. Sensitivity analysis of sales revenue. Sensitivity analysis of sales revenue. Caroline, you forgot to mute yourself, Caroline. Right?
I was muted.
Oh, you're muted. There must be someone else who is not muted. I don't believe in this thing of muting all my students. I don't believe in it. So in the next class, we shall be introducing a penalty. If we find yourself not muted, when you're not speaking, okay, if you're speaking and you're not muted, that is expected, that is okay. But if we find you, in this case here, making a lot of noise to us, you're not muted at all, you're making noise to us, we shall be penalizing you. And the penalty will be, we call all of you to Nairobi here and then ensure that you buy each one of us lunch in a good hotel. Not a restaurant, but a hotel. Where, for example, lunch will cost you like 2,000 bob per person. Look at how bad that penalty is. I would rather learn how to mute myself throughout.
Difference between a restaurant and hotel.
You know, a hotel is bigger. A hotel basically has got what we call accommodation, right? Yeah. So ukienda pale, for example, kama Umabei upate mtu akona kioski ya kachai na mandazi na America Hotel, hajui tofauti. Hotel like Safari Park Hotel.
It is always fish in Umabei.
Oh, it's always but even if it's fish, so long as it doesn't have accommodation, then it is not a hotel. Yeah, that reminds me that when I'll be coming those sides, Silas, I have to pay you a visit. Kula samaki. Unajua tumezoea kula samaki hapa za fish pond.
No, just come and get the one from the lake.
Yeah. So for sales revenue, what do we have there for sales revenue? Very easy. So it will be sensitivity analysis of sales revenue, right? Like this in an exam. And then please don't forget simple basic things you underline. It's Roman 3. So write a formula. This one here will be net present value over present value of sales revenue times 100 times 100, right? So then this will be net present value is 82.353 all over present value of sales revenue. Present value of sales revenue, I remember our sales revenue was 600. But remember that now this sales revenue is repetitive every year. It's an annuity thing. So times PV for purpose of present valuation.
7513.
Yeah, times 100. So then this one here will be 82.353 all over 600 times
0.7513.
Hapana. Unajua 0.7513 ile ni PV. Now say 600,000, 600 million in repeated is per year. So it has to be multiplied with PVIFA. Thank you very much for bringing up that one. This one here should be PVIFA and not PVIF. Hebu kumbukeni PVIFA ile ilikuwa calculate huko juu. Zaira sampata your answer. Hebu kumbuka ile PVIFA tulikuwa nimecalculate huko juu.
2.4.
2.4.
869.
869. Lakini je, tunaelewana kwa nini mimi natumia hii PVIFA hapa kweli? Tunaelewana kweli?
It is regular cash flow.
It's regular. Thank you very much. It's an annuity figure. Alafu sasa wengine wanafika hapa wananyoroshwa. Ukifika hapa, ensure that you are able first of all to do this separately, right? So take this divided by this times 100. So the final figure will be equal to what? What percentage? The final figure itakuwa ngapi? Times 100, the final figure, itakuwa ni 5.53. 5.53%. 5.53%. So that is it for our today's class. So I'm sending you how many videos immediately? Two videos immediately. Ensure that you watch them to the very end and make your notes. And please remember to celebrate your successes and the failures on WhatsApp. If you're not able to get it, celebrate your failures by telling us that these are the areas I was not able to get. And in most, okay, like now the one that I'll send you today, I would want you to make your notes at the back of the book. At the back of the book. The one I'll send you today, I'd want you to make those notes at the back of your books. Otherwise, it has been a pleasure. Remember, as you said, Silas and the rest here, you're my ambassadors out there. I want to get over 100 students like I had last time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.